Hello, my name is Jason StPierre, and I am the founder of Play It Forward. Play It Forward is an online platform that connects former collegiate athletes to younger athletes through private lessons. But before I get more into who I am and what this business is all about, I want to dedicate this year's business competition to my grandfather, who's actually inspired me to take this kind of route in business. My grandpa, Ronald StPierre, he passed away on April 4th, 2022. And he actually started his own business in 1971 called Foam Molders, which is still around to this day. And last year, when I got third place in the competition, I was able to email my grandpa, and I recently came across this email, and he got to congratulate me. He said, "Wow, Bubba, that's an impressive business plan. Congratulations on getting third place." So I wanted to dedicate this to my grandpa. But now getting into who am I? My name is Jason StPierre. I am a student athlete here at Concordia University. I major in business administration with emphases in accounting and finance and minors in marketing and communication. I'm on the cross country and track team. Some of my teammates are over there supporting me. And I'm a resident assistant on campus, and I'm heavily involved in my church as well. But I want to ask you a question. Who are you? When you think of your identity, if you were up here with the microphone, what would you say you are? Maybe it has to do with your job. Maybe it has to do with your interests or your hobbies. But who are you? Because this is the idea that Play It Forward really gets behind, of looking at a certain identity of a certain group of people. I found this quote from Harvard School of Psychology, and I think this really captures this idea of identity for the target group that we're talking about, and this is student athletes on college campuses. So our sense of who we are permeates every aspect of our life. And if you've ever met a collegiate athlete, maybe some of those back there or myself, this is so true when you meet them, that they don't just run cross country or they don't just play basketball. They live it out throughout their day. It often it affects their schedule. It often affects the community of people that they hang out with and the content that they're taking in on a daily basis of the sport that they're part of. So we want to get behind this identity. And so we took this survey with 22 different Concordia University students, 11 of them being girls and 11 of them being boys. And this was across 7 different sports. And the feedback that we got gave us a great idea of what we can do at Play It Forward for these collegiate athletes who have their identities in sports. And because what we believe with this identity that they have is, what do you do when that 4 years of competition is over? When the last buzzer buzzes or you finish the finish line for the last time and you're no longer this student athlete, what do you do with that passion and skill that you've been developing for years and years on end? And these surveys gives us an idea of what we should be doing. So this first survey, what it asks is being an athlete a part of your identity? And if you look at it, 100% of the people said yes. 91 saying presently, right now, yes, it is part of my identity. The next one that we did, this is for the professors that are out there. I asked them, as being an athlete, does it make up a greater part of your identity than being a student? And all except one of those 22 said that being a student is a bigger deal for them. And the rest were either neutral or agreed that being an athlete is a bigger deal or bigger part of their identity than being a student. Another piece that shows this identity in sports is the idea of letting go of being an athlete worries me or weighs heavy upon me. And we see about 75%, again, are saying, yes, I agree with that statement, that it does weigh heavy to me. What do I do after these 4 years of competing? What do I do with all those passions? And so that is what we're trying to address. That's the problem that we see. What do we do with all these student athletes that are graduating and trying to figure out, who am I? And so a couple more pieces that we got from our survey that I think will really show you why we've created this business model is, have you ever received a private lesson in your career of athletics before or during college? And we had 70% say yes. And this last piece shows us why I believe that Play It Forward will really work. Would you consider coaching younger athletes? 91% came back saying that they would be interested in coaching younger athletes. And this shows that they want to use their passions. They want to use their athletic skills to go and coach other people. So this is what Play It Forward is. We are a platform that connects these former collegiate athletes to these youth athletes. And the way that we do that is by developing the platform that we have. So the former collegiate athletes that we have are going to be people that recently graduated, and we'll get into a little bit of what that industry looks like. And the youth athletes are going to be anyone who's from ages 6 to about age 17. So we got the whole high school demographic and younger than that as well. And Play It Forward is really the bridge of connecting these two groups together through our online platform by providing private lessons. So now getting a little bit into the youth athletes industry, these are some incredible statistics that we came across, that the youth sports is a $15 billion industry. So we believe that these passion and skills of these former collegiate athletes, if we put them to the test of being in and working with youth athletes, that this is a very popular industry to enter into. There's 7.4 million high school athletes, and then we have a large number of network of the NCAA. And interestingly, 33% of them don't finish their 4 years. So we even have a lot of that college demographic that's still in their 4 years that would be willing to coach. And if you remember my survey, 91% of those students were saying that they would be interested. Moving on, what does the platform look exactly like? So what a person will be able to do is they'll download our app or they'll enter into our website. They'll either select that they are an athlete. So like I said, 6 years old to 17-year-olds, and we'll go over that, the involvement from a parent for a youth like that. And then there will be a coach that will be able to enter as well. They will sign in with their email information, and the coaches, they must apply and be hired. So they'll go through a series of background checks to make sure that they are eligible and able to work with these kids. And then we will interview them. And when when is it approved, at that point, they will be able to create their profile. Coaches will post. They will be able to create their lessons. And this will be really cool for the college demographic because they'll be able to schedule exactly what they're looking for, of the amount of time that they're available and what skills that they're offering to these individuals that are youth. Then the athletes will be able to search on this platform of, okay, this is a coach that I would be interested in taking lessons from. And they would be able to sign up for that. We would approve it and make sure that there's a location for them to do that. And that's so key for us, that we would be partners with the parks and recreations around, so that there's a location for these private lessons to be conducted. So the official title that we're looking to be is a contracted instructor. I actually got to speak to someone who does these types of an organization that's very similar to youth sports currently. And that's what we need to get, and a big part of our financial model that I'll get into in a minute. So we need to create that contract so that we can do those reservations as we go on. So what is our competition? I9 Sports is kind of doing they're the largest youth multi-sport provider. So they've been established, but during COVID, what we've seen is a big dip of of some of our competitors and how much traction that they're really receiving, which again is an opportune moment for us to enter. And then League Apps is a platform just like us, but they more so connect kids to leagues like Little League or AYSO instead of just this mentorship that we're going for. So our marketing plan, we are a platform. We're going to be a website or an app like I discussed a second ago. The price is going to cost $25 for athletes to enter onto our platform. And then it's going to cost $100 for coaches to begin making posting upon our site. And then once a coach has gone through that process, they will be able to just create the prices that they want to going forward. The place that we'll be doing is the parks, and the promotion will be, it's like a dating site. If you're trying to picture what this platform looks like, we're trying to connect two different groups. So the way that we're going to do this, our marketing communication, is we're going to go by everyone who's signing into our site. We'll be able to send email blasts to a lot of them. In addition, we'll be in contact with all the high schools and colleges that are around, and being able to talk to their athletic directors and see, hey, is there anyone that's interested in having these private lessons to elevate your skills in sport? And then here's a couple others like social media. Coach will be able to do free trials if they want to build their customer base. And we'll attend career fairs as well. Now, getting into the finances, like I mentioned, exactly how the model has been created is Where we are going to receive our money is from the subscriptions of coaches and athletes. Once they are approved at that part, the only expense that those coaches will be responsible for paying is the expense of those reservations through the parks and recreations. So they'll pay their initial fee of $100. And you see here, our end net income would be $23,750. So we're projecting that we could get 675 subscriptions from the coaches on the first hand, and that we can get double that for the athletes as well. Moving on, so what we're asking for is $60,000, and that's really to pay for those major expenses that we got going at the beginning, and so that we can pay through those things, and then we can get your money back by investing in us within about 5 years, because we have a projected about 10% growth after year one. So the expansion plan that we have going on is the Fair Pay to Play Act in 2023. So if you've been considering collegiate athletes aren't allowed to publicize their name, well, that's true, but in 2023, that law changes. So we'll be able to use current athletes as well to be part of our platform. So that's why, again, it's an opportune moment right now. Summer camps will have a different model where we aren't going to do this one-on-one mentorship, but we'll be available to a lot more like camp settings. And finally, after about 5 years, something that I'm really excited about is musicians are also people who devote themselves to a lot of time of learning their craft. And so we're thinking of a Play It Forward music edition where musicians could even connect with younger people as well on a similar platform like Play It Forward. We're Play It Forward, and we thank you for your time.
Who's developing and maintaining the app?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back a couple slides. If you go back to here, so what we've found is to develop an app like of our caliber, that is gonna require about $25,000 for, and we found that this price was based upon similar websites like dating sites and stuff like that. So we would contact people that had created former like dating apps to create something like this. Yeah.
Are you in contact with club teams? How are you going to compete with the club teams? Because they have their own privates.
Yeah. So we're not, currently we're not in contact with club teams. I think the approach is going to be, and even just understanding from our surveys that only 70% of even college athletes have taken private lessons in the past. And I was even talking to some of the high schoolers yesterday and said they aren't currently in private lessons, because I think that people that are in clubs, which does make up a big majority of athletes at that age, are very invested already in their sport. But I've come from a high school that, being in club sports, that is not the norm for them. So I think what we're trying to do is we're reaching out to students who are interested in going to college, but they're more connected to their high schools, or they're just playing sports at their school. And that's why even Reach Now, we're talking to athletic directors and head coaches of schools versus trying to the club approach, because you're right, that would be a major competitor. And honestly, like the clubs, that's where you see a lot of the private lessons happening. One of the surveys that wasn't included on there. I'll end there. Yeah, there's another question, but I won't mention it right now.
Could you explain the vetting process for athletes?
So, one more time.
The vetting process. How do you, or what criteria are you going to use to interview athlete coaches?
Great. I'm glad you asked that. So like I said, I used to actually work in this industry with youth sports. And so I was in contact with with someone who owns their own. It's called Skyhawks, if you've ever heard that. And they do a lot of youth sports. And so that's more the model, to go back to your question, of that we're going to, of reaching out to people in the community versus like invested in clubs. But yeah, sorry, your question, I got caught up there.
Vetting and criteria.
Yeah, for the interviews. Thank you. So the criteria that we're going to do is we have already a background check that's already set up that was in my business plan. So they need to make sure that there's no red flags because the biggest value that we have at Play It Forward is trust. We want to make sure if any adult is working with a child that it would be a safe process. Then actually in that interview, we need to make sure that they were a former collegiate athlete because that is what we completely believe, that this identity piece is where this passion and skills and some of the best training that you can receive as an athlete is from playing in college, that we want to make sure that they have played at the collegiate level, understand what that process is, and kind of coach them before that they, post on our platform of what are the types of, what are the experiences that you've had that athletes would be interested in signing up for your schedule anyways. So I think just trying to clarify of what is your experience and why are you qualified to work with kids?
Right. So because someone has great athletic skills doesn't mean they have coaching skills. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I believe even this was a part of my survey and interviewing process is even looking at the coaches at this school. And just about every single head coach at this school was a former collegiate athlete. So we don't think that every single athlete is going to be interested in working for Play It Forward. But I think that, having 91% and seeing that there's that much interest and just being able to live with former collegiate athletes, like they know what is required and what are the skills that it is. So I understand that there's going to be some people that aren't really meant for the coaching position, but I think a vast majority of that, and with having to pay a $100 subscription, that's going to really weed out people that are, there for the wrong reasons.
Are they paying this $100 before or after they're approved?
Yeah, great question. They'll go through the interview and then they'll have to pay the $100.
Okay, so what are the costs, the background costs that you would incur at every new application, though you would not have revenue from every new application if they paid after versus prior?
Yeah. So some of the expenses that we added at the end was to have like these administration expenses just so that we can apply that to the background checks that are being taken place and the additional applications that are happening. But the reason that we're willing to pay that extra money for these this process is because the whole business is built off of the quality of our coaches. And so I'm really glad that you're bringing up of what are the questions that you'd be asking in our interview process, because we need to have the cream of the crop if our business is going to survive, because it's based upon those coaches that are, doing well in high quality lessons so that customers continue to come back. And so people are continuing to sign up for Play It Forward.
Are you contemplating a ranking system for your coaches?
So that was actually, within our app, we'll be able to, obviously we have control of what's being publicized. So that's something of seeing good feedback that comes from parents. We'll be able to publicize specifically what coaches are receiving, 5-star reviews and stuff like that. So that's definitely something we're interested in.
So the $25, does that go to the coach or to you guys?
That goes to us. And so the reason
How does the coach make money?
The coach gets to create, so going back to the platform slide, the coach gets to create, so this example right here, the coach got to create what he's charging for 1 hour in a lesson. So he gets to receive all the money that he's asking for.
No, I get that, but
okay.
Like some coaches charge $65 an hour, some will charge $150 an hour, and if the rankings are not properly set, they'll not get. So they're going to get the 100% of the $65?
They have to pay for the expense of being at that reservation. But that's why
that's what I was going to get to.
Okay.
How do you get in the park?
How are we getting the park?
Because you can't just walk into a park.
No. So that's the partnership that we have with the Parks and Recreation of becoming a contracted instructor. When I spoke to the head of Skyhawks of what does that look like, once you receive this contracted instructor title, you're able to set these reservations like each month for which ones you're going to do. So it is a scheduling process,
Yeah.
if that's what you're getting at. And that is what we're doing on the management side.
All right, I apologize. I'm going to have to cut this one off.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Jason. Thank you.